What's up, guys? This is Kyle from Wax Museum, and as you can see from the screen here, I've got another relic source video for you today. This one, like all of the other ones, I guess, took a lot of time. So if you don't mind, go ahead and make sure you hit that like button if you like this sort of thing. That tells me that, hey, I can keep making these. People are going to keep watching them. Otherwise, it'll be stuff that I just keep private because I like doing this stuff anyway. Okay, so today, as you can see here, we're talking about Tim Hardaway. And one thing that I like to do when I want to see where all Panini is getting relics from is I like to look at the logo min cards that are out there. And now that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to account for every jersey. For example, I know there are several guys that they're holding logo min cards back for, like, we've never had a Jeff Foster logo man. I think they've got at least 3 of those. I don't know if they're ever going to come out. But anyway, you can't always use that as your sort of barometer. But in some cases, I think it's a pretty helpful tool. So for instance, here, I put in Tim Hardaway on one of the checklist websites, and I came up with 3 different logo men. There might be more out there, so if I'm missing some, please let me know. But anyway, I came up with the 2012 Immaculate Inscribed, which pictures him as a Miami Heat player. You can see that. I've got the 2016 National Treasures logo man autograph. You see that one there on the right. And then the one that I don't have a picture of, I believe it is a horizontal set, is the 2021 Colossal Logo Man. So maybe that has been pulled and it's out there. If you've got it, I'd love to see a picture of it. So anyway, that tells me here's what we've got to start off with. So the first thing I set out to do was, okay, let me see if I can find some Heat relics for Tim Hardaway to go along with that Logo Man card. And there were some huge clues in those Heat relics. This was a set that was from 2012 Immaculate, and it was called Immaculate Marks. And I remember at the time, I wasn't a big fan of it because they essentially just cut up autographed portions of jerseys. But now, as it's been out for, over a decade now, and we don't see a lot of stuff like this, I kind of miss it. And I kind of wish we had more of it. Maybe we will in the future. Who knows? Maybe they'll give us 1 or 2 last versions on the way out. But anyway, this kind of stuff gives us huge clues when it comes to sourcing these jerseys and figuring out where Panini got them from. And using this autograph, I was able to figure out pretty easily. And it's actually, I say I did. It was one of my friends that did so, Jason, who's a Miami Heat collector. So make sure to follow him on Instagram. But he found that it was this jersey here from the 98-99 season that was sold by Gray Flannel in December of 2009. And you'll notice Panini didn't even pay $700 for it. Now, that also matches up with the fact, as I've said before, that Panini likes to buy a lot of stuff from Gray Flannel auctions. And I'll give you some close-ups here. You can see the front and the back. You can see the tags. You can see that autographed portion. As I've said several times before, the unfortunate thing about Gray Flannel is their pictures are not good in the sense that that's about as big as they can get before they start getting really, pixelated or distorted or whatever you want to call that, or blurry. Whereas someone like Golden or someone like Heritage, you can zoom in almost to where it's right in front of you, maybe even closer than that. So Gray Flannel has a long way to go if they want to catch up in that regard. But anyway, that's the pictures we have to work with. So that's what we're going to do. So I took those 3 Immaculate Marks cards from earlier, and I put those on top of the autograph piece, and you can see those line up. Another thing that does for us, though, is that tells us, okay, that's a 5-card set. We can see that from the print run. I've got pieces 2, 3, and 4. That shows us what pieces 1 and 5 are going to look like. And I don't know which one's 1 and which one's 5, but anyway, that really doesn't matter. But it shows you what those missing pieces are going to look like. Now, additionally, I showed you the tag picture that Gray Flannel gave us earlier. Well, the 3 tags that I've seen, which would be a print run of 2 from Treasure Tags there you see on the right, those match up with what we've got. And then also that sizing tag that I saw in one of the Immaculate sets, that matches up with the 48 that you see there as well. I haven't seen any other Heat tag sets for Tim Hardaway, so I'm guessing that there's still some of that other stuff out there. The Nike Fit tag on the top, the Nike tag on the left, the Authentics tag on the left as well. So who knows? Maybe we'll see those in the future. Maybe those are still in the archives, been in the vault for here 10 years now, plus 10 years plus, I should say, with Panini. But anyway, there were a number of other Tim Hardaway Heat memorabilia cards that came out. It looks like they all came from that same jersey, and I'm not going to match every single one up because there's a lot of little pieces here. So you can see all those. I tried to sort them by set for the pictures that I could find. Immaculate had quite a few. You've got all different types there as well. You've got number pieces. You've got stuff from Heat on the front. I think that bottom middle card might even be part of the nameplate, maybe the H from the nameplate. They got a lot of pieces from that nameplate, though, including some of these that you see here. I wouldn't be surprised if they got at least 70 pieces from that nameplate, because I've seen some pieces that were really small. They also used the numbers for some of these booklets here. You can see that, like that bottom left version of the booklet is part of the number 0. And then, of course, we've got a ton of cards that came from that piping or that trim or whatever you want to call it. Even look at the bottom left, that immaculate card. There were 100 copies of that card. So there was plenty of that trim material for them to use. Who knows how much they've got left, if any, but they've used quite a bit. And then we've also got this strange card here from Immaculate. I didn't see too much of this. I've only seen this type of stuff with a few players. I think Robert Parrish, Larry Johnson. I've seen some stuff like that where the material in the card is a different team than what's pictured there with the player. I mean, normally they would have, if they know they're going to use Heat material, then they're going to have a Heat picture of Tim Hardaway. And look how small that patch is as well. So that's a little bit strange. And speaking of Warriors jersey pieces, I saw these silhouette cards where they're numbered to 47. There was not a prime version of this card. Most of them that I've seen were that black version that you see there on the right from the Heat jersey, but they also have this white jersey version. And from what I've seen, they don't have a Miami Heat white jersey. So that's actually from a Warriors jersey, which we're going to be talking about here in a moment. Let's go back to our Logo Man reference point here. So we know that they had a Warriors jersey at some point for the 2016-2017 card season. Now, keep in mind, some of those high-end releases like this one right here, National Treasures, I don't have that date off the top of my head, but it used to come out around May. So it'd be like May of 2017 when we would see that set. So, anything they purchased before that, they should be able to use if they purchase something maybe 6 months before that or whatever. But we also saw some Tim Hardaway Warriors patches in 2014 products. So we know that there was a Warriors jersey that was purchased for Tim Hardaway before 2014. Well, I looked and did a little bit of searching, and I found this one here that was purchased in June of 2013 from Gray Flannel. Like I said earlier, they like their Gray Flannel stuff. Here's some close-ups that they have for us. And then if I were to look at some of the 2014 jumbo pieces, specifically this Immaculate set, I can use that, and I can use the mesh holes there on the nameplate pieces, especially to confirm that indeed came from this Gray Flannel jersey. So I've taken 2 of the 3, and I think I know where that third one goes as well. I can't quite get it to match up, or it's kind of blurry, but I know that R piece at the top is part of the R in Hardaway, and then the Y piece at the end is part of that Y in there as well. And then I noticed there were some Tim Hardaway tag cards out. So we had the Treasure Tag set. I've been fortunate in that I've been able to find all 3 from that print run. So we had the 3 of 3 has that Golden State Warriors logo. That's all the way on that left tag. And then if you go to the right side of the screen here, we've got some stuff from the Champion Wash tag. That all matches up. Interestingly enough, this tag in the middle of the screen here, that Raining Threes, I think is what the set was called, where it was a triple memorabilia set. That came from 2018-2019 Dominion, and it used some of the rest of the tag. You can see it used the 94-95 portion, which I wish, if they're going to use both sides of it, I wish they would have just kept it together, but it is what it is. And then they used the 4 in Champion. So we know that they were still using some of this stuff from this jersey they purchased in 2013 later on. Speaking of tags and speaking of later on, I noticed that there was another tag that was used in 2016-2017 National Treasures. That was not from that last jersey that they already had, because remember, that one was from the 94-95 season. This tag, as you can see here, is from the 1992 season. So it looks like, yes, they've got another Tim Hardaway Warriors jersey that they've been using for their memorabilia cards. I did a little bit of searching to see, all right, when can we find a 92-93 jersey? I found this one right here from SCP Auctions that they purchased in August of 2016. Now, this one cost them a little bit more than that Heat one earlier. This one cost them almost $1,400. But this one is from the Kobe Carl collection. I'll talk a little bit about that later. Here's some close-ups. Thankfully, SCP has some better photos than Gray Flannel, so I was really able to photo match some of these pieces that you'll see later on using the mesh holes. It was a lot easier. And there was this Colossal set from around that same time. I think it was from the 2016-2017 season. Notice there are a couple pieces on the left that would come from the front of the jersey. And look at that top one. You'll notice that top left piece, it has what looks like a nameplate letter and the Warriors logo there. Well, that's that C from the captain's patch that you probably saw not too long ago. And then on the right side, we've got those three nameplate pieces. So it was pretty easy once I knew that piece came from the C and the captain's patch. I matched those two pieces from the front of the jersey, so I know that those are from this second jersey that Panini purchased. And then I took those three nameplate pieces, and two of them matched up easily. The two there that you see on the right, they matched up with the AW and then the WA in that Hardaway nameplate. But I noticed that the A here, the one that I pictured on the left, and I put a question mark on it, it doesn't fit the mesh holes of any of these three A's in the word Hardaway in this second jersey. So I thought, you know what? I wonder if they're pulling pieces still from that first jersey. So I pulled up that previous jersey. Lo and behold, the mesh holes match up. So that one is from the first jersey that they purchased, even though it came out after they bought the second one. That's where it gets a little bit tricky. So I want you to know, here's one of the things that I found. From here on, 2016 on, I'm assuming that everything that you'll see in products from Tim Hardaway for Warriors cards is a mixture of material from both Warriors jerseys. They're just using whatever they've had left to fill out the print runs of those products. So, what could that look like? Well, it could be, these cards here. That trim is impossible to know which jersey that came from. So that could very well be either one of them. And then the top left pieces are so small, that's going to be nearly impossible. The bottom right pieces I probably could match up, but it's going to take a lot of time. And I didn't want to put that. I didn't want to put any more time in on this than I already had, because I devoted quite a bit. Here's some more examples here. This, the nameplate pieces on the right, I think are from 2020. So they've had that stuff for a while. That would probably be pretty easy to match up. They're just so small pieces that it would take forever. So I'm assuming it's going to be a mashup of those two jerseys. And I do like using the jumbo cards, though. The jumbo cards are a little bit easier to match up. So I found these 8 from the Clutch Factor. And I matched up, I guess it's kind of hard to see. I tried to make it to where you could see what I did earlier with this second jersey. I took this 101 from Clutch Factor and I flipped it upside down, and it was the R and the I where those connect and the mesh holes matched up. So I know that that card from Clutch Factor is from the second jersey. However, though, I will say one of the letter pieces, I believe it's the top left, I matched up to the first jersey, and I didn't make a graphic for that to show you. But anyway, just know that I believe this Clutch Factor set is also a mixture of both jerseys, and I wish I had more pictures of those. Some of the other memorabilia cards we had come out later on, we had this Spectacular Swatches set. It looks like it uses a lot of the number pieces specifically. I took this one here and I matched it up to the number 1, the bottom of the number 1 on the second jersey. I can't assure you, though, that every card from that set is from this second jersey. I think it's likely, though, if you look at that top of the number 0 or the middle top part of it where it's got that loose thread, that would be a fun one to find, because we could match up pretty easily. That would help us. I think they call that puckering. where that thread is loosened up like that. Now, one thing, though, that is a little bit easier to match up is the tags. And there was a set in National Treasures that there was just a patch version, and then there was a tag auto that was numbered to 5. I've been able to find 2 of those, and luckily enough, it was a piece that said 92, which was a huge clue for me. And then the other piece is part of the 1993. You can see that 3 on the end there, and those do, in fact, match up if you look at the stitching. So it was nice to be able to figure out that was from that second jersey. Another thing I really like about that second jersey that we didn't get with these first 2 jerseys is the provenance. I mentioned earlier, I made a note in passing that it was from the Kobe Carl collection. Well, who is Kobe Carl? He is the son of longtime NBA coach George Karl. You might remember him from the Sonics. You might remember him from the Nuggets. You might remember him from his stint with the Kings, although, a lot of people forgot about that. But anyway, so his son was a ball boy. His son was around a lot of these players. In fact, the Kobe Carl collection has been pretty impressive as it's been pieced out. I'm going to have another video or 2 about some pieces from that collection later on. Those are still kind of in the works. But anyway, he's been around the NBA players almost his entire life. So either he or his dad accumulated a lot of these pieces. That doesn't mean, just because Kobe Carl has it doesn't mean necessarily it's game worn. Like, sure, someone pointed out on a blowout thread, it could be player issued. Yeah, that is the case, but it does look like it shows some game wear with that puckering. And I think it's likely that it was game worn. I do like that a little bit more than just saying, hey, here's a jersey that looks game worn, right? We don't have a lot of clues that go with some of this stuff, but this one I think has a little bit more to the backstory, so I appreciate that. I haven't tried to match it to a specific game yet, although I will have a video later on where I'm doing that with another player, so you'll want to keep an eye out for that. Okay, real quick, closing thoughts here. That Miami Heat jersey, it had autographed pieces on it. That's a great way to determine, in addition to the tags, to determine where they're getting their stuff from. You might remember the second jersey, the second Warriors jersey that I talked about, had a big Tim Hardaway autograph on the front. We haven't seen that, or at least I haven't seen that show up in cards yet. So I'm hoping, hey, maybe they've got one more Immaculate Mark set in them. That would be a good candidate for that. In addition to those tags and those autograph pieces, you want to look at when jerseys are sold and when sets come out, because you can kind of figure out when Panini does their purchasing that way. As I mentioned earlier, all of the pre-2016 Warriors relics are from that first jersey that they purchased. I think it was in 2013. Everything after that, I believe, is a mixture. So what's left, I can't tell you for certain. I think most of that Heat jersey has been used up, especially considering the fact that they had to fill out some of the rest of that Panini preferred silhouette set with the Warriors jersey pieces. The Prime, it's hard to tell because they chopped that into so many small pieces. And then, of course, there is that big autograph on that Warriors jersey that we haven't seen as well. So it's hard to speculate exactly what's left, but that's some of the stuff that I think could still be out there. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to click that like button. If you want to see more of these videos in the future, let me know in the comments. Remember, there are new episodes of the audio podcast that come out every Thursday. And as always, thanks for watching.